So, Matt.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about?
Wrestling?
I want to talk about wrestling.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the best pro wrestlers of all time.
Do you have a list?
I have a list.
How many are on your list? Because, I like lists of 5.
Okay.
But sometimes that's too short.
Yeah.
And sometimes 10 is too long. Do you have, a list somewhere in between?
We are 6 wins.
That's true.
So I figured 6. It's the perfect number.
That's the perfect number.
It's the magic number. So this is the top 6 best pro wrestlers. Spoiler alert, the gentleman on my shirt didn't quite
It was
make
number
it.
1.
Oh.
I'm guessing you're going to start with number 6.
The 6th greatest pro wrestler of all time, Kurt Angle.
Oh, it's true! It's damn true!
Out of all the wrestlers, he's the most well-rounded. In ring, can't name many better than Kurt Angle.
The guy won a gold medal.
With a broken freaking neck!
Came in, perfect timing where the squeaky clean babyface wasn't really, people didn't really want to see that. People like the anti-hero. So he came in as just super arrogant. You people should be looking up to me. I'm a gold medalist. I represented our country. No reason to actually hate the guy.
Yeah.
But the more people booed him, the more he kind of leaned into the arrogance of it all. Worked well as a heel. Worked equally well as a babyface. Took to it really quick. Better in ring than anybody. Equally good on the mic, and just checked as many boxes he possibly can as a pro wrestler.
I love Kurt Angle. He would probably be a personal top 6 of mine if I had to think about it.
And I think the only thing that prevented me from putting him higher is that they never quite built the company around him.
Mm-hmm.
Never quite got to that level. One criteria that I hold in a pretty high regard is just, did they ever put the company on your back and kind of launch you? They never quite did that with Angle.
Yeah.
But they sure did with my number 5.
Well, okay.
So the 5th greatest pro wrestler of all time, Roman Reigns.
Acknowledge me!
I'm going to get some hate for that. But, I've been watching pretty religiously since mid-90s, and I've never seen a wrestler with this type of, final boss energy.
Acknowledge me!
I think the fact that he's not around every week works in his favor. I feel like when you do hear that music, choir and just the
almost a riff to it. So yeah, it definitely has boss vibes to it.
Yeah.
100%.
And beyond that, he's been, the top of the card for 10 years now, which is a longer reign,
Jeez.
no pun intended, than a lot of guys who peaked in an Attitude Era. His work as a heel, I like it much better than his work as a babyface, but even then, he's been kind of trusted to be the guy for a decade now, and great in the ring, has gotten so much better on the mic.
Like you said, could be controversial. I think the one thing that he maybe lacks that people would want more of is some of the in-ring ability, a lot of either technical stuff, but that's not the be-all end-all of wrestling. That might be the one knock on him where I think people would take issue.
Number 4, the 4th greatest pro wrestler of all time, Hulk Hogan.
What you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you, brother?
I'm talking 80s, 90s Hogan. I'm not talking about 2024 Hogan.
Well, yeah.
But a little before my time, but I feel like this list would be incomplete without Ultimate Warrior's best friend, Hulk Hogan, carried the company for 10, 20 years. And can't forget when he came back around WrestleMania 18 and went one-on-one with The Rock. One of my personal favorite matches of all time, but just I get why people don't want to put him there. Was he the best in-ring worker? Not necessarily. Did he kind of have some controversial stuff in, the past decade? Yeah, but I want to talk about the one person who's synonymous with pro wrestling. I feel like the stuff I just mentioned are the only things preventing him from being number 1. You ask any non-wrestling fan, name one wrestler. 9 times out of 10, I feel like they're going to tell you Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, he's just well known and associated with wrestling. Some of the things, especially even his politicking, people kind of knock him because they think he prevented himself and his character from taking hits, which wouldn't have dented probably his legacy anyway. So it's not like if he took some L's, people would be like, Hogan, that guy, yeah, he was big, but he lost to a couple guys, and so he can't be the top guy. Like, it wouldn't have changed anything, I don't think, had he kind of relinquished the title when supposedly he wouldn't give it up or, lose to people. Hogan is undoubtedly forever linked with professional wrestling.
And no one else could have body slammed the 800-pound Andre the Giant.
Is he only 800? I thought he was like 30,000 pounds.
Oh, yeah. As the years go on,
his weight gets higher and higher.
In the Superdome at WrestleMania 3.
But yes, sir, we are here in the Superdome without a doubt.
The third greatest pro wrestler of all time, The Undertaker.
Rest in peace.
Did it too, though.
Yeah.
Did it pretty good.
Oh.
It's hard to know if you're doing it because you can't see it.
What can you say about Mark Calloway, The Undertaker? He was a staple in the company for 30 years and probably the best character ever.
Yeah.
And it was wild that he was able to evolve it from the early 90s and then make it still work in the Attitude Era when things were getting a little more real and kind of shift to, Biker Taker and then come back and just make it evolve all those years. And you see the guy just talk as himself nowadays. He's got some cool stories and seems like just a cool guy you'd want to hang with.
Yeah. So far, this Undertaker seems like probably close to a unanimous. I know people could argue against Roman Reigns, and I know people could argue against Kurt Angle, and people could even argue against Hogan with their personal biases, but I don't think many people, you might have your own subjective guys jump over him, but I think everybody would have Undertaker very close to a top 6.
Holy Christ!
The second best pro wrestler of all time.
And his name is John Cena! He's gonna get in the ring and put...
John Cena.
Jonathan Cena.
Jonathan Cena. Thank God he didn't get fired. You hear the stories about, for fun, was a freestyle rapper with some of the guys in the back, and Stephanie heard him. He was like, can you do that on TV? And he was like, yeah. So the rapper thing took off, and then he became the Super Cena that half of us know and love, and the other half hated. But I feel like nowadays he's pretty much universally loved. The guy who carried the company, he did it for a decade plus, and he was the guy, and people got sick of him, but he always stayed true. He was like the Jon Snow. He did the right thing, but Cena's my number 2.
There you go.
Yeah, you could totally give someone polarizing points.
Yeah.
It takes a lot to be polarizing and still kind of walk through half hate, half love.
Yes, and polarizing not in a really actually controversial way. He's not polarizing because he did Hogan stuff, in real life, because he's real life done the most Make-A-Wish things. He's not polarizing because of his weird beliefs or things that he's done to people to get to where he is and stuff like that. There's a couple stories about him politicking for how matches should end, but very few.
I wish he would be a little more selfish, especially in these past 4 or 5 years. He, has been kind enough to come in and put guys over like Austin Theory and Roman Reigns again, and even Solo.
Yeah.
But I wanted to see Cena get some wins, and maybe his final run, I don't necessarily want him to turn heel. Sure, that would be cool, but I want to see him go over some guys and get those Super Cena powers back.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be a bad idea if he went at least kind of heel for that last run and the 17th title win?
Oh my God! Cena's here!
The time has come
The time.
to reveal the greatest pro wrestler of all time,
Oh, man.
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
And you look like a jackass. I said he looks like a jackass.
And that's the bottom line. Hey, you could have put him here. You could have put The Rock here. The Rock didn't make my list.
The Rock did not make your list.
That was tough. But for me, you always hear those two, very synonymous.
Yeah.
But Stone Cold was the biggest star during the biggest time. And as good as The Rock is, I'll say this about Rock. He is the only guy to beat Austin, Cena, and Hogan at WrestleMania. Now, nobody else can say that. The 3 arguably biggest other superstars at the biggest event. But the reason why I went with Stone Cold is just has remained the biggest guy. It doesn't matter how much time passes. That glass shatters, and it's clear that he's the best to me. So that's my number one.
Stone Cold, number one, Chris's best wrestlers of all time.
And that's the bottom line, because Stone Cold said so.
We always ask, do you have other thoughts? Do you have other opinions? Share them in the comments. Like the video even if you dislike his list, because then you can put in the comments. But like it that we gave you a chance to rebut Chris's list that's superior to yours.
Yeah.